Hello, this is the recording for the Introduction to Learning Together with Young Children. So the beginning of this textbook talks about questioning current thinking and approaches in education. Is the primary purpose of school to introduce compliant workers for economic functions? Is curriculum meant to remediate deficits? Should educational goals focus on test scores? As educators, our task is to probe deeply and engage in critical thinking about these issues. Shouldn't educators focus on children's inherent competencies, children's ideas, and children's questions? In order to use critical thinking skills, let's talk about what critical thinking entails. There are several skills that are required in order to think in a critical way. First, skill number one, interpretation. This is the ability to understand the meaning of information and communicate that information to others. The second skill is analysis, the ability to connect pieces of information together in order to determine the meaning the information represents. The third skill is inference, the ability to determine an accurate conclusion from the information at your disposal. The fourth skill is evaluation, the ability to evaluate the credibility of statements or opinions in order to measure the accuracy of the information being presented. The fifth skill is explanation, the ability to not only restate information, but to add clarity and perspective to the information so it can be fully understood by anyone you are sharing it with. And lastly, skill number 6, self-regulation, awareness of your own thinking abilities and the elements that you are using to find results. So keeping those critical thinking skills in mind, let's look at some problems in regards to the educational approaches that are being used today in early childhood education. So problem one is that definitions of quality are inadequate. Even though a substantial body of research focused on early brain development has linked optimal cognitive development to social emotional development. Further research shows that when quality early childhood education implements the concepts of this research, long-term positive intellectual outcomes emerge. Unfortunately, policymakers have marginalized this research and turned to easy solutions focused more on traditional procedures and approaches not supported by research, and used this to define quality. And when we talk about traditional procedures and approaches, we're talking about focusing on academic skills and teaching approaches that focus on drill and practice. Problem 2 is that factories serve as models for education. So the focus is on, with these factory models, is on compliance, schedules, and cookie-cutter mandated curriculum. With this cookie-cutter mandated curriculum focused on factory models, teachers move children through the day as if they are cars on the assembly line. Teachers and children are not given time to ponder, wonder, or find meaning. Accountability to concepts gained and predetermined time frames are required. And all of this is happening even though research shows that children need at least 30 minutes of exploration, play, and discovery to develop skills and concepts, which that research is contradictory to these factory models of cookie-cutter mandated curriculum. Problem 3, teachers lack philosophical foundations. Minimal education entry levels in early childhood education leads to an in-service approach or how-to skills as the main education venue, whereas philosophical foundations need to be built with understanding of children and child development and its relationship to facilitating and supporting that development and learning. Problem 4. Adults view children as needing to be readied or fixed. Research supports that young children are born ready to learn. Unfortunately, traditional education approaches impose adult perspectives and agendas on children's learning. The view is that children are empty vessels to be filled by adults and depend on adults to confer learning to them. Young children are viewed as needing to be readied to learn in elementary school or fixed in order to fit with the traditional education approaches. Problem 5. Play is not viewed as a viable source of curriculum. Research shows that play promotes higher level thinking and learning, social perspective taking, higher level mental representations, and promotes self-regulation. When children are relegated to limited time, limited materials, limited social collaboration, limited opportunities to explore and discover, higher level development is not achieved. Play provides all of those higher level thinking and learning skills. Play requires space, time, materials, and adult facilitation and support. Problem 6. Child versus teacher directed is viewed as opposed and mutually exclusive. Traditional educational approaches take an either-or approach. Either you do child-directed or you do teacher-directed. This oversimplifies teaching. Rather, a both-and approach is better used. We provide a combination of child-directed and teacher-directed. This allows for flexibility and adaptation for individual needs. Problem 7. Infrastructure does not support teacher reflection. Traditional educational approaches present a culture of compliance and scarcity. Teachers are viewed as technicians accountable to implementing standards and factory model curriculum, even to the extent that factory model curriculum, cookie cutter style curriculum, is listed and represented as teacher proof. Research supports reflection as a crucial aspect of the appropriate praxis of curriculum, which includes 3 things: observation, reflection, and then action. Problem 8. Quantifiable research-based curriculum required. Crucial questions should be asked regarding this research-based curriculum. Who are the researchers, and were they paid for by the curriculum company? What is their methodology, and what is their cultural framework? Decades of developmental research show children are active learners with the drive to make their own choices for learning. They're motivated by their own interest, and they are learners within their own cultural framework.